So I wanted to share the story of Sidekick Ai. It was my first SaaS startup and SaaS platform that was ever developed, and I'm going to try to tell the story as quickly as I can because I know your attention is valuable. But so long story short, I started Kairos Digital year one, noticed a lot of problems with scheduling. Was getting double booked for meetings, was showing up to meetings, and there was miscommunications about what day of the week or whatnot, and was just super frustrated and was like, you know what, I'm a software developer. Like, why is there not a solution for this? And so I looked online, couldn't find one. The best that was at the time was Calendly, and there was a X.ai solution out there, which was acquired a couple years after. But nothing kind of was like a, AI assistant secretary working for you. And so we started the application, and at first it was called Pam or something like that. And it was, it was a personal assistant, schedule or whatever. But eventually we rebranded it and called it Sidekick. And so we bootstrapped this thing, and I wrote version one, and then we decided to take it to the company and Kairos, and then we wrote it again, and then a third time, and then the pandemic happened, and we, reallocated some bandwidth from Kairos over to Sidekick. And so for 2.5, 3 years, this thing was developed, and it was bootstrapped. And so we spent a lot of money building Sidekick into what it is today, and highs and lows. And the long of it is we made it to MVP, we made it to a proof of concept, we made it to a minimum viable product, we got customers, we had subscribers, but we weren't able to get the traction that we really wanted out of it. And the mistake that was made was that we didn't spend the right time doing the right things early on. So one major mistake that we made that I think a lot of you can avoid if you're going to start a project like this is, if you're going to bootstrap it, make sure that you don't over-engineer early on, and you build like the most raw thing of it. And maybe you're building it and it's not even written in code. Like, maybe you're slapping this idea together with pre-existing tools, knowing that this is just like version 0.01, right? What that will prevent you from doing is mismanaging capital and spending money on things that people don't want, and burning through your budget to the point where when you finally do have a finished solution, you go to deploy it, you don't have the funds to properly market it and to properly get it out into the world and to get traction, right? And that traction, that lack of getting traction early on, is a big killer, because the problem is if you're bootstrapping something, you're paying for with your money or your partner's money to build this thing. And if you can't get traction, it's going to be really difficult to get investors later on. You'll spend a lot of time and energy in meetings and pitches and putting together documents and resources and things, and you're going to get left with the same answer back from venture capitalists or angel investors, which is, I'm sorry, there's just not enough traction. Talk to me in a couple months, right? So this is what happened with Sidekick. We built the thing internally, we bootstrapped it, we launched it, we got users, we got some subscribers, but we really didn't have the financial traction to keep it going. And so eventually, a couple months ago, we all got in the room and we basically said, look, there's 3 options for this thing. And it's sad, but it's true, right? It's we either do nothing and then it fades out and it dies out and all of that time and energy and everything is left to waste, or we continue to throw money at the problem, which, is not the best, because, if we could have done it, we would have, right? And so we built a great product, but we didn't properly position it into the marketplace. And so that's solution 2. Solution 3 is we sell it, and we give it to somebody who is going to take really good care of it and who is going to be able to support the existing users, and, it fits into their plan, right? And they already have a tech background. They already have a portfolio of software. The stars aligned, and we found a buyer. It was a buyer that we had talked to many years ago, 2 years ago, and then we reignited the conversation, and it was still a good fit, and negotiations happened, and we got down to price and eventually terms, and the buy-sell agreement was sold. We transitioned all of the assets. We had to do it within like 15 days. That was a crazy story. And now we're delivering post-support training, their dev team, the ins and outs of how the application works and whatnot. And so So we built the scheduling tool, and it was great, and I feel like we did a really good job building it and producing something that is unique and that provides value and that's useful. Like any other application, right? We had bugs, we had random events of chaos, we had complaints, we had customers that were not happy, we had users that were confused, we had all the same problems that any other software SaaS startup is going to run into, right? But it was an interesting story. We did that. It taught us a lot of experience. It gave me a lot of experience with the process of building things, deploying them, positioning them in the market, finding a buyer for the actual business and all of the IP and everything, and selling it. So it was really, really interesting. But would I do it again? No. Would I do it again in different ways with different approaches? Absolutely. Now that I know what to do and what not to do, and with the principle of let's not repeat mistakes, I would definitely consider building something similar to that again. The one thing that I would do though is I probably would write zero to little code to build the actual thing and get feedback early on, right? So anyways, Sidekick AI, it's under new ownership, great ownership. The gentlemen and the folks that are now behind Sidekick AI, you're in good hands if you're a Sidekick user. You're probably in better hands than you were previously. Can't be grateful enough for that. Yeah, Sidekick AI. Go check it out sometime. It's pretty cool. It's kind of like Calendly. It's a little different. There's a couple other features in there that Calendly doesn't really have. There's tons of scheduling tools out there. And real quick, that's the last thing too, is that the timing of when your idea comes out is super vital. We produced the minimum viable product version of Sidekick right after the pandemic. Right, we had been building it before the pandemic, through the pandemic, and then we launched it right after. And at that time, a lot of online meetings were being scheduled, right? But as soon as that wave got detected by the market, a ton of other competitors started entering the space, right? And we couldn't out-innovate and out-build faster than them because of either our budgets. I wouldn't say because of our talent, but I would say definitely because of our budgets, our bandwidth, our past experience with this process. And so that's an important thing too, is like if you're going to build and deploy a software product or platform and you're going to own it, the timing of when you enter the market is extremely important as well. So please take that into consideration. I hope that helps. And follow. Please subscribe if interested. Leave a like, a comment, all that YouTube stuff. But and also there's links down at the bottom. One is for my Stand store, so I have a couple resources on there. If you're interested, you can pay for them. There's also a free resource on there, which is the knowledge base that I've put together. So I'm constantly documenting things like this and putting those discoveries and findings and lessons and things in that knowledge base. That's a free resource. You can find that in the link below, also within the bottom of the Stand store as well. So anyways, appreciate your attention and time. I hope this is super helpful. It's 9:30 at night. I was just like, hey, I'm going to bust out some videos, and yeah, thanks for watching.